The count is on, everyone. Today makes it 49 days since Bola Tinubu became president, and we're back following developments in his first 100 days in office. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Coming up on the show today, National Woman Leader of the APC, Dr. Betta Edu, and former federal lawmaker Kehinde Odeneye join me to discuss new developments within the APC as National Chairman and National Secretary of the ruling party resigned just a day before the now rescheduled National Caucus and NEC meeting. You can join the conversation now on Twitter. Remember to use the hashtag first100days, tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Now, President Bola Tinubu is expected back in Nigeria after participating in the 5th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union. The president arrived in Nairobi on Saturday to participate in the meeting where he presented the report on the status of regional integration in ECOWAS, highlight actions carried out during the period under review by ECOWAS institutions, as well as other matters. This mid-year coordination meetings conveyed under the AU's theme for 2023, and it's tagged Acceleration of the African Continental Free Trade Area Implementation. The president, who's the chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, said coup d'etat should be discouraged in the continent, especially in the face of challenges like the COVID-19 pandemic, insecurity, and climate change.
Nigeria actually proved, her point that Africa must be stable, must be secured, even before any meaningful infrastructural development, economic activity can adequately and effectively take place. That was the main thrust of the address of our president there. Of course, he also presented the status report of the ECOWAS, the state of ECOWAS in terms of integration, in terms of free movement of people amongst the ECOWAS countries, in terms of security, stability, and political progress of West Africa.
So 5 years after the agreement was brokered by the African Union, there's still the need to get more countries on board to ratify, particularly the protocol on the movement of people and work towards deepening the economic integration on the continent. And that was the theme for the 5th mid-year AU meeting. The issues of rights of residents and establishment under the AFCTA are some of the big deals for Africa right now. Let's join our State House correspondent who is in Nairobi covering this story. President Tinubu in his speech highlighted the efforts made by the sub-region to implement the AFCFTA. Talk to us about how far West African countries have gone in this regard.
Well, out of 15 countries in West Africa, so far only 13 of these countries have ratified the agreement, that is the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And President Tinubu is saying that it's a good success so far recorded, and efforts are still on to get everyone on board. And on the free movement of persons, well, ECOWAS has already commenced that action towards the implementation of the harmonized visa regime, that is the ECO visa by ECOWAS, to facilitate free movement of ECOWAS citizens. These are some of the requirements of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that would help eliminate all trade barriers and lift people in the region out of poverty. But there's still a challenge, and President Tinubu highlighted that a challenge among the African countries. They hardly do business among themselves. For now, the European Union is still the biggest trade partner of most of the ECOWAS member states, followed by countries in the followed by Arab countries and also some countries in North America and indeed South America. So, he's saying that, well, ECOWAS has made tremendous progress compared to other regions in Africa. ECOWAS is indeed making that considerable progress in achieving that agreement. But he says it is still work in progress. Infrastructure is already being put in place, especially the Lagos to Abidjan corridor, that would cost about $15 billion. He also highlighted some other basic achievements. I know the African Union was quite impressed with the level of success ECOWAS has achieved in this regard.
So the host president, Kenya President William Ruto, has been advocating a new global financial model for a while now, where power, according to him, isn't in the hands of a few. Remember, at the Paris summit, he talked about restructuring financial systems and why the resources shouldn't be controlled by, neither the World Bank or the IMF. Talk to us about his thoughts this time on the extension of debt repayment regimes in Africa.
Well, the Kenyan president believes that the debt stock in Africa is quite huge. And most of these multilateral financial organizations have described Africa as risky. They do not want to give loans to Africa. After the interest rates paid by African countries is quite high. He believes that this has slowed down the development in Africa. Africa has not been able to develop at the same pace with other European countries and the other developed economies in the world. So he believes that Africa should also be given some kind of waivers, especially in terms of debt forgiveness, and also should also be left off the hook in terms of some global commitment to issues, especially issues of climate change, because Africa contributes the least to global warming. If we look at COVID-19, Africa bears the huge part of the brunt of COVID-19, but it did not start from Africa. Most of the global problems are usually not from Africa, but the repercussion is usually felt by African countries. So he is asking for fairness, and he's asking that African countries should be treated as the same way other countries, other economies are treated. He's just asking for fairness.
All right, we're expecting you back in Nigeria, and then we probably will explore more the highlights and the resolutions made at that meeting. We're also looking forward to how the AU will achieve a borderless Africa and create the much talked about single market of 1.3 billion people and the potential combined GDP of around $3.4 trillion. State House correspondent Femi Akonde live for us in Nairobi, Kenya.